The wind screamed across the Montana plains, a merciless howl that tore at Eliza Monroe's tattered coat and stung her exposed skin like 1,000 needles. Snow swirled in blinding sheets, obscuring the horizon, the ground, and any hope of salvation. Her arms burned with the weight of her 3 infant daughters, Rose, Lila, and Ivy, bundled tightly against her chest in a threadbare blanket that did little to shield them from the blizzard's wrath. Each step was a battle against the knee-deep drifts, her boots sinking into the frozen earth as if it meant to swallow her whole. Her breath came in ragged gasps, frosting in the air before vanishing into the storm. Eliza's body screamed for rest, but she couldn't stop. Not now. Not when her girl's tiny whimpers pierced her heart, urging her forward. She had to keep moving, had to find shelter, or they would all die out here in this godforsaken wilderness. The memory of her father-in-law's cruel words echoed louder than the wind, "You're no good for my son. Take your squalling brats and go." He'd dragged her from the cabin where her husband, Thomas, lay delirious with fever, too weak to stop his father's betrayal. Then, with a sneer, he'd loaded her and the triplets into a wagon, driven them miles from the homestead, and abandoned them in this frozen hell with nothing but the clothes on their backs and a single blanket. Eliza's teeth chattered as she clutched her daughters closer, their small bodies trembling against her. Rose, the eldest by a few minutes, let out a faint cry, her voice barely audible over the storm's roar. Lila and Ivy, nestled beside her, stirred restlessly, their tiny faces pinched with cold. Eliza's heart twisted with guilt and fear. She'd known her father-in-law, Amos, despised her from the moment Thomas brought her home, a city girl with no business on a rugged Montana homestead. She'd tried to prove herself, learning to churn butter, mend fences, and endure the endless chores, but Amos's hatred only grew after the triplets were born. 3 mouths to feed, he'd muttered, glaring at the babies as if they were a curse. Thomas, ever the peacemaker, had promised to stand by her, but the fever had stolen his strength, leaving her defenseless against Amos's wrath. She could still see his cold, gray eyes as he'd shoved her out of the wagon, pointing into the blizzard. "You'll find nothing out there," he'd said. "And good riddance." The memory fueled her, stoking a fire of defiance in her chest. She wouldn't let Amos win. She wouldn't let her girls die. Eliza staggered forward, her vision blurring as the cold seeped deeper into her bones. Her legs felt like lead, each step slower than the last. The landscape was a featureless void of white, no landmarks, no signs of life, just an endless sea of snow and wind. She'd been walking for hours, maybe longer. Time had lost all meaning in the storm's unrelenting assault. Her fingers, numb despite her efforts to tuck them into her sleeves, could bear